This first session, I'm quite nervous about it. I've never done anything like this before, but we are hoping that you will all join in. I hope you all got your email from me to say bring your questions, your experiences, your insights. It's meant to be a give and take session. We've got some speakers lined up to get you going. Experienced people who've had lots of horrors happen to them in their lives. But we hope that you will also join in and not feel too shy under the spotlight. Okay, first up, we've got Nora Ackerman. And Nora is the Deputy University Librarian at Central University of Technology. And she has lots of interesting stories to tell us. So thank you, Nora. You're going to be okay with this? Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, colleagues, and for those here and online, welcome here at our, I think this is our first hybrid physical online conference since COVID, so welcome to everybody here. Yes, this morning, the topic is transformational agreements. And those of you that knows me, I always like to use the word Quo Vadis. Where are we going at the CUT, the Central University of Technology? So where do we start? Yes, you start in my office and then you get these calls from the department. Oh, ma'am, we heard that we can now publish for free. Is that true? And unfortunately, when I was preparing my presentation over the weekend, I couldn't find that ad. But when I was waiting at the airport yesterday, I actually found the ad. It jumped up on me. It's on Google News because I'm always on trying to find out what's happening in the world. And then there's the sponsored Wiley email, and it says, quote and unquote, authors in South Africa publish open access at no cost to themselves. Wow. I mean, what do? You call your librarian. Then accidentally, I also found one from the Royal Society. Our 4 research journals are transformative journal moving to open access. So more and more, and this is on Google News. This is not on some library platform or whatever. This is plain Google News. So I was quite speechless when I found these things, and then I understood why I get all these calls. And the news are spreading. So definitely people are talking, going to the faculty research committees, our university research information committees. And so people are wondering what is happening. What is this APC story? A lot of people don't even know what is APC. And no, it's not author processing charge. It is actually article processing charge. So at the CUT, unfortunately, we're a small institution in terms of UNISA and Pretoria University. We have 20,000 students. Our budget is not that large. So at the moment, we have 2 transformational agreements. The one is, of course, the Elsevier one that most people are now have access to, as well as the Emerald. So if I could quickly unpack the Emerald, the Elsevier one, there's, of course, the discount, full discount with the capping of 2,221 articles for this year for the hybrid articles, and then the golden open access journals where we get 15% discount for South Africa. That is part of the SANIC deal. I will talk about that just now. And then, of course, with Emerald, we have at the moment 2 journals collections that we subscribe to. So we can then, our own researchers and authors can publish in those 2, anyone in the, one is the accounting, finance, economics, and e-journal collection. So there we have 43 titles. And then the business management and strategy e-journal collection, there we have 59 titles. And then the national capping is for this year is 140, meaning first come, first serve. So the first one, if you are author 139, you can still publish 140. Yes, okay, you're still okay. 141, unfortunately, it's a no-go for you, then you have to pay. So just to come back to the pricing, of course, 50% is it's nice. So thank you, Sadlik. Thank you, Glenn. So we appreciate that. But if you work out that we've got a discount of $435, and the net price is still $2,400, with the current 19.45 cents for a rand a dollar, it comes down to almost 50,000 rand. So it's still a steep price to pay, but at least there is some relief for our authors. But the ideal would be to bring this also down, or to rather publish in hybrid journals that is for free. So who is paying? At the moment, when I asked this question to Elsevier, they said no. The cost of this APCs of the Golden Open Access route goes directly to the author. Of course, as you all know, and when I sent my presentation to Nora, I said, I have a few answers, but I've got many more questions. We actually just re-established a CUT task team on open science. We had our first meeting last Wednesday. So you can imagine there was tons and tons of questions. One of the key things that we will discuss as time goes on is the whole notion of APCs, who's responsible for it. Is the library? Is it the authors themselves? Is it the research office? So yes, there are lots of things still to unpack, but including the APC payments. But yes, we don't have the answers yet. I just wanted to share with you, if you feel like a small boat in the big ocean, don't feel alone. I think there's lots of us in this room today. And I'm glad that the gentleman there at the back smiling at me will be coming after me. So Arjan will come up with all the solutions, or so he promised. So thank you, Arjan. So yes, definitely, please don't feel, I think that is the reason why so many of us opt to attend this conference. So Quo Vadis, do we have all the answers? Definitely not. There's many more questions. And then I hope that this session and the subsequent conference will then bring many more answers on this whole notion of transformational agreements, which is a wonderful opportunity, but it poses new challenges, new thinking outside the box. So definitely, I think there's hope for us. We must just unpack and put the house nicely in order that everybody knows the who's who in the zoo. So thank you very much. And I'm not sure if there's any questions at this stage. Okay. Thank you. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Right, next up we have Wynand van der Walt. And Wynand has a very fancy title. Senior Manager, Innovation Systems and Collections, and he's from Rhodes University. So thanks, Wynand.
Thank you. This is extremely bright. I used ChatGPT this morning to ask whether there's value in transformative agreements. And I actually got a very good response. First of all, facilitating transition to open access, cost containment, increased visibility and impact, supporting equity and inclusivity, and driving sustainable change. However, those are 5 positives stemming from what is our biggest challenge at this point in time, and is what's in it for us. How do we manage this animal we call transformational agreements? Now, Rhodes is a very small university. I think it's one of the smallest in the country, but our research ratio is probably the highest in the country in terms of ratio per researcher and research outputs. So we have a number of issues, and I'm not going to give you the solutions today because I believe this is just a teaser. We do have some probabilities going forward during the week, possible solutions to convey to everyone. So the issues that we are sitting with is how do we really determine the impact and the uptake of transformational agreements at an institutional level? How do we determine the true cost versus cost avoidance or cost containment? How do you express or illustrate this in terms of your open science strategy as your part of your value expression to the rest of the university? Then, one of my favorites, what's the reality about transformational agreements and what are we really working towards and by when? I've asked 5 publishers this question. Only one said, we're working towards open access in 5 years. The rest wasn't sure. They all said, oh, there's a still project, it's pilot phase, etc., which worries me a bit because I don't know where we're heading. How long are we going to sit with this? In the meantime, we've got escalating costs in the library side and we've got escalating costs on the research officer side. How sustainable is that? Then, one of the greatest challenges is to determine which of the stakeholders within a campus environment is actually responsible for what aspect of transformational agreements. And you've seen this closer relation between the research office and the library, but we've also discovered some of the challenges. The library is signing agreements and the research office has got to fork out the money for some of the APCs behind the scenes. And I'm very worried, and I'm glad my director's not here. She's next door. I always ask the question, what happens if they turn around and say, well, you signed, you pay. Then part of the stakeholders as well is how do we convey this to the academics? And what message is being actually sent out from the various stakeholders to the participants of the research process, which is a sort of a prelude to my presentation, I think on Wednesday. Yes. All right, good. So please join Wednesday. Then one of the interesting things, and I picked up this morning coming from a colleague of mine, how would a possible organizational structure look like that can actually support transformational agreements optimally, and the aspects around transformational agreements, and also, broadly speaking, open science, because that's one of the challenges that we sit with in terms of the responsibility of the various stakeholders. Then, one of my favorite questions, who should budget and pay for what? We've got research tools, we've got researcher solutions like transformational agreements, publishing costs, etc. Who's responsible for this and what's the actual cost to each institution if you look at it holistically? And then, something that's very close to my heart, are transformational agreements the right solution for Africa? Because there is an impact. And South Africa as a driving force of transformational agreements might, unfortunately, cause a negative impact on other African states. But that's also part of the conversation throughout the week. Thank you.
Anyone wants to ask a question of Wynand? Don't worry, there's a roving mic. Nothing. Sorry, I don't know your name. Won't you stand up and tell us your name? Hi, Situkelo. Chia, sorry, there we are.
Yeah, my name is Gatlawa Chia. I'm from the University of Zululand. My question is, I know you mentioned that you'll be doing a presentation during the course of the week. So I just want to know if you are at liberty to just disclose a little bit in terms of how do you convey the message to academics. Thanks.
Well, I think that's part of the challenge that we're sitting with. We don't have a solution. We have a proposal in place, but it's also what I'm going to propose this week is developed for the Rhodes environment where we have specific institutional challenges as well. Each institution is slightly different. What we have discovered, however, is that while the library is really pushing for open science, what happens to the other stakeholders? Are they pushing for open science? The lack of an institutional mandate, the lack of a national mandate is still a major struggling block in all of this. And on top of it, you have academic freedom, which means whatever academic don't want to do, they will say, I've got academic freedom. I don't want to do what you tell me to do, or what, I don't have to support this idea of open science. Because there's a stigma behind open science that we also have to address. And that's what my opening going to be on our presentation is, where our research office advised an academic, do not publish in open access because that will damage your reputation. That's how bad it is. We have a lot of work to do. We've come 20 years with open access already. And I don't think we've even budged that rock a centimeter, possibly. So we have to look at it differently. And the fact is that I don't know about your institution, but the placing of the library as a support unit versus an academic support unit or academic unit also has an impact in terms of how well do people listen to you. If you were an academic entity, possibility is they would actually listen to you. But as long as you're a support unit, you must go and cut the grass most probably, then they'll be happy.
Thanks, Wynand. Anyone want to ask anything more? We can move on to our next speaker is Bongi Mputi. Bongi's put a lot of work into this. Bongi is a senior librarian. She works in the architecture library at the University of the Witwatersrand. Wits to us. All yours, Bongi.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you for the opportunity. To start off, I thought we need to look at the external processes and then bring them back to internal processes. So if you look at the external processes, we have my illustration, I've used a waterfall. On top, you have the institutions who are part of the transformative agreements. And then the waterfall itself, it's your publisher. And then you've got your pool down there. That's your open access publications, which are accessed by whoever, whether you are part of the transformative agreement or not. And then here, actually, I'm just repeating the questions that have already been said. I like the way it has been put to say, how do we avoid the cost? So, and then as well as the reality. When I'm talking of the reality, my question is, what is the long-term sustainable plan for the TAs? And also, what are we expecting from those users that we are trying to accommodate who are not able to pay for transformative agreements? Are they just expected to access the information, or is there a plan for them to contribute as well with the publications, for an example? And in the internal processes, I'm looking at, I've used the illustration of the car that has 4 legs. And then in these 4 legs, you know, a car cannot move with 1 leg. So you need all these 4 parts to move in harmony. In WITS, we have the Library Information Resources Department, Legal Office, Author, and the librarian. So they coexist and they co-work to make it happen. Now, with the author in particular, I use the illustration from the Bible. We know the Israelites' journey when they were facing the sea, and on the sides it's the mountains, and behind them was the Pharaoh's chariots. So here we see our publishers in front, the authors are facing the sea of open access publishing. And then on the side, we've got your predator journals, you've got your paywalls. And then behind them, the institution, you publish or you perish. Our workflow, it's highly intensive and hectic, but it involves this for stakeholders, your authors, your publishers, your librarians, and finance departments. How do they all come together? This is the process that we, I hope this is gonna open. If you won't be able to see it, is somebody controlling the spreadsheet? If you can just click on it to open it. That link that is on that same page. There's an icon on, let me just go back. Slide number 6. If you click on that icon, it opens a spreadsheet. Is it not opening? Oh, funny, it's opening from my side. Okay, on the spreadsheet, I wanted to show you the process where it starts. We receive queries or inquiries from the authors who want to publish, who have no idea. One of the speakers have already said our academics may not even understand what is this APC. And we have to start from there. And in that process, there's a back and forth. So I have created on the spreadsheet to show the type of queries that we receive and the responses that I give when I have to answer the academics. And then when a person is ready to start the process, we send the documents, just a guide. We provide a guide in terms of what are you expected to provide for you to claim. So our process is currently the manual process. It says, as an author, go and get your article accepted and publish it. After you have published it, or not even publish it, once it's accepted, pay the publisher before you come to us. And then you claim for reimbursement. That's how we are doing it. And then that is an issue on its own, because that process then, it says to the library, you need to process the reimbursement. And the reimbursement, it requires the documents that we want from you as an author. We want you to send us the proof of payment, the invoice, your article page, or your acceptance letter if the article is not yet published. We also want you to fill in the form. Within that form, it must be signed by the VET's school or department or units' finance or admin or business manager, and then include the account code where the library will be debited to credit this particular account. So can you see how daunting this is? And it's not the end. The next thing, once all the documents are here, just to get those documents, it may take weeks. And then the documents are here. Okay, I've got everything. What is next? I record in the spreadsheet each and every claim according to the details, like the author, the school or department, their title, where is it published, how much is it? And in our policy or guide, we pay a certain portion. So if it's above the maximum, then the author will forfeit whatever the difference. Okay, so in that, I'm just making sure that everything is recorded. From there, I have to submit it back. Remember the 4 legs to, I'm a librarian. By the way, I'm acting in this part as well. So think about the work that is involved, and then at the same time, I'm also have my responsibilities that I have to take in the process. In all honest fact, I've been working way above, like, we knock off at 5, but for me to proceed, I need to sit and do this until 9-10 evenings. So as a result, my recommendation is that when I looked at how daunting the work is, it doesn't need one person, it needs more than one person to do the job, because it's very hectic. Unless, we'll share, what Sunlick can do for us. It has been highlighted a little bit. From this, you take this documents. I have a template as well that I have created to say this is, actually it was created by my predecessor who retired. So I use that template and then to say to our information resources department, upload this claim in our LMS, the library management system, and then approve the claim. It comes back to me again. Then I have to do the internal requisition form. I must send it back to our information resources department to sign the form. It comes back to me. I must take the form. I have created a spreadsheet again to say, okay, this is the list of all the claims that I'm submitting to central finance. Then the process is complete. By the way, it's not yet complete because the academics are going to come back again. Bongi, when are we receiving our payment? It's been a month, I don't see the payment. And then I have to go back to central finance. Central finance, have you captured? Yes, I've captured it 2 weeks ago. But where is it sitting? It's sitting with the school. But the academic is asking me to find out if all that is done. So, and then at the end of the month, I will submit a monthly expenditure report to our research office. When I look at this, it's, what is this process about? It's the workflow. It's so administratively and multifaceted and versatile in terms of responsibilities and the roles. Why I'm saying that, I've just explained to you how time consuming and labor intensive it is, and it involves many stakeholders. Now, coming back to the transformative agreements here, if you look at what we have tried to do to say, this is so actively involving, can we try something better with technology? Then we are introducing an e-tool. With an e-tool, we are trying to transit from this manual intensive labor to automated system. So this decision was not made by the library alone. It involves the research office as well, because we are talking of publications for the institution. Was to make this APC process much easier and quicker, because in some cases it can take over a month just to process one article. The team that is involved here, it's our library, it's the research office, the central finance, and then the tool that we are looking at, we're about to implement it, is called Kronos Hub. In this implementation process, it was hectically involving in terms of the integration, because we realized that we can't move without the SLA, the license, the onboarding, the subscription payments, providing and uploading the required documents by this system now. Just the starting point, it has been hectic, but we are almost there. But in terms of the implementation itself, we are looking at the orientation where Kronos Hub is actually helping us now where we are. We are at the stage where we've done the orientation, we're about to test, and then we'll train and use our users. What is this e-tool? It's actually making life easier, because what they have done, they have put everything that I have mentioned as part of the manual labor and made it automated. These are your, I will call them the customers or the clients that they have so far, including us as VITs. Now, what this system is doing, it's helping us for the author who is part of those 4 legs. The author is able to submit through the system, the article. And then from submitting, gets the acceptance, that communication between the author and the publisher, it's kickstarted by our Kronos Hub. Once the article is published or is accepted, then the author will just submit, for now, will submit the required documents online. I don't have to do the checking whether the documents are all there and whatever. All that the library can do in the system is to approve. Okay, and then the publication is out there. Then the other option that they are giving, two options, is to have your article or your publication be deposited in the institutional repository. And also, what they are having, it's the agreement monitoring. That's where SANLIC is going to come in. So what we have subscribed here, it's the first two, the journal guide, where the author has to select the accredited publication. By the way, that is another process on its own. And then in case of the APC management, it's now taking over all this daunting work that has been done by the library. What did we pick up with the transformative agreements? It's that when we just need to go into the publisher's site to accept or reject the publication. And when we do that, we need to verify if the author is affiliated with WITS. So with the affiliation, it's easier for the full-time staff members, but for students, the postgraduate students, the postdoctoral fellows, the researchers who are employed by the research units, WITS has a lot of research units. And some of the staff members under those research units, they may not be part of the WITS system, the main system. So to verify that person using the tools that we have, it's not easy. It takes time. So when I was looking at this whole process, I identified that the publishers, in terms of us having a smooth move with the transformative agreements, they need to give us more time, the turnaround time to reject or approve an article, it needs to be reviewed. And then we need a notification system. All we have there from their website, reject or approve, that's all. And then when I'm still verifying, there's no communication that is happening between me and the publisher to say, whoa, I'm still checking if this author is part of WITS. So we need some notification system or something that is gonna let the publisher know that we have received the notification whether to approve or reject, but this is what is still happening before we can conclude on this publication. So these are the things that we have picked up. And in a question that might be, I'm hoping that some of you already have an answer to it. WITS is encouraging our postgraduate students to publish, but they have to co-author. Students are like, Bonnie, really? Co-authoring, can't we? Because this is a global recognition. So our question is, if a student is still part of the institutions, can they publish on their own? And what is the impact or the research output impact or claim that the institution has on the publications that are done by the students? We know that the students, as soon as they graduate, they are gone. So that's where we are. Then the last part is the submission by the author. Here, I think I'm not going to go into details, but they are very interesting experiences that I have. My personal experience with the authors and the publishers in terms of when they submit and the whole process up to an article is accepted, as well as when it is rejected. So what SANLIC can do for us is we need a marketing information or content that is standardized. Right now, one of my colleagues has already said that our academics, they are not sure and they do not know, especially the part of that mentality that we are trying to clean or to rectify about open access. So if we have a standardized marketing content, it will help us as institutions, tertiary institutions, to speak in one voice as far as open access and open science is concerned. I have said that this job requires more than one person to deal with APCs. So we need all the librarians be trained and upskilled. To say my personal experience, I was shown within less than an hour on how to go about this from one of my colleagues who was retiring, who was responsible for this job. The rest, I had to learn it myself. So we need the proper training and the upskilling. On the updated list, it was discovered when we're doing busy setting up Kronos Hub as an e-tool that the list of publications that are populated on SANLIC's website, they are not corresponding with what the publishers have. So now, how can we solve this? It's not just the list, it's also the included documents. With the e-tool, they have the agreement monitoring system that they have already in place. So if the e-tool is taken up by SANLIC, in this e-tool, this daunting work that we have done already to set it up, to make it work for VETS, it can be either done by SANLIC for across the institutions, or SANLIC may not even need to do that. But the publishers, as soon as they are part of the transformative agreement, they can be able to update or provide all the needed information to the e-tool. So we just come in and approve. That's all we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bongi. Are there any questions for Bongi? I hope that you're going to have all your answers during this conference, or most of them anyway. Are there any questions online? I'm not sure where I see them.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you for presentation. I'd like to check, is the e-tool free? Because they always complain about the money.
It's no way free. I'm answering for Bongi. We've started negotiating with them and we nearly fell over at the price. They wanted a lot of money.
Okay, no, thanks, Nora.
Dora.
Thank you. That's a follow-up on the question that has just been asked. Actually, more like a comment, because Kronos is one of the tools. There's other tools as well, but it seems on one hand we've been given the open access, but now we have to buy these other tools so it's a give and take. So no matter how you look at it, you have to keep on buying. So, because unfortunately, I think the publishers have to make their money somewhere. So if this is one of the ways, because when my director was talking about it yesterday as we were about to fly out to Johannesburg, yes, unfortunately, this is the reality of the story. There's always, you have to pay somewhere something. But thank you, Bongi. I think that gave us a good idea of what Kronos can do. I know there's other tools as well, but thank you for this presentation.
Don't see any more hands and there are no more questions online. So I'm going to call up Dorette next. Right. Dorette is the collection developer, e-resources at UNISA. Huge job.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much, Nora, and thank you for asking me to also give an overview of what we have done at UNISA regarding the implementation of our transformative agreements. I want to start with, just want to stand like this, you can see here, at the end. And that is one of the academics replying on my reply to say, but you can now publish open access if you want to. And I got this wonderful email with gushing thank yous. It actually, I didn't have this slide there, but gushing out exclamation marks, and she's so happy and she's going to tell everybody and her co-author. And I thought to myself, you know, that's actually why we are doing it, hopefully to get some thank you from an academic. What we do at UNISA, I must say, we are very privileged that we could participate from day one, and we are participating in all the SANLIC agreements. We also added the Royal Society this year. Initially, we didn't take that, but then the publisher wrote to me and said that I know that we already published more articles last year than the cost of participating in the transformative agreement. So we have started this year as well. We are also publishing other open access agreements because it's not only about the transformative agreements. The scope one from the start, we also have a Biomed Central membership for discount on the APCs. And we participated in Knowledge Unlatched when it started very many years ago. That is the ebook pledging. So if you are interested in open access, you should actually look at those things as well. We also have subscribed to open subscriptions where we had journal subscriptions that now are subscribed to open, and we decided we will continue with that to provide our participation in that. And at the moment, I'm the sole staff member doing it, but hopefully after this conference, we can also open that discussion in our library. We implemented, and initially it came because it's part of your electronic resources. So we implemented it as part of that. We had to get an administrator for Cambridge, short notice, 24 hours, and my name was the only one on the list. So that's actually how it happened. And it is probably, now that I look back at it, not so bad, because now we can actually track what's going on. We are part of that process, and the library can see how it works. In the end of the day, it is the library's money. We have a lib guide with our publisher information, which I think most of you also have. And then I went on like a road show. Professor Mayiwa, our VP, which is a very strong supporter of this, said to me, I gave you a green card, you'd go and travel. After my research committee where I spoke in the end of 2021. And I can now in my sleep do all these presentations. I speak at all the departmental and college meetings, and I speak at the research meetings. And because it's teams, of course, it's easy, and the participation is quite good. We have ongoing conversations with our research department, same things that some of you are saying. And I have a very open communication through our personal librarians who, of course, work with academic departments. So they channel questions and so on through them. They also make the arrangements for the meetings. The challenging experiences that I've got is, of course, the verification of authors. I thought it's easy, but people don't write under the UNISA email addresses. You name it, I write under that. I got a talk to from one of the academics. Why do I want to force him using UNISA? Because he uses Gmail. It's easy for communication. We have a lot of visiting scholars, and we have these specialized research institutes and chairs where people are contracted for a year. They don't always write under the UNISA email addresses, and they're definitely not on the staff list. So I have constant communication to find out who's this person and are they really entitled to get the APC under the agreement. I've now learned a lot of verification platforms from publishers. I sit with a Wiley one, I think it's now the last one I'm learning. But you have to maybe look at one of these e-tools. I also have found with my feedback that some authors missed the selection of the open access. And I've picked up that there's, for example, and I think that's the advantage of being involved in this. with a misunderstanding, for example, on the Springer pages. It keeps on telling them that there's an APC to be paid, and only when they accept open access does it tell them you are at the institution with a transformative agreement. So they're all frightened that they have to pay that 2,500 euros that it says on the first page. I found that some academics do not type in UNISA correctly. I can't believe it, but I type in UNISA. They start with a college, they start with a department. I don't always understand it, and then it doesn't pick them assigned to UNISA. I've also now seen that you look at the published articles, how they define the colleges. It might say University of South Africa, but they all define the colleges and departments differently. And I think we're going to pick up problems later on when it comes to reporting. We're not a research-heavy output institution like Rhodes, but we are plugging along with the articles. I'm very surprised. And if you want to now do reporting after a while to say which colleges or departments or institutes the people belong to. So I'm looking at that Ringgold identification. Of course, we have the academics that says, but I selected it yesterday. When will I see my articles? I say thank you that they're at least excited. We have academics that decided not to publish under the agreements. We're not sure why they did that. We haven't really followed up on that. It's a handful, but it's people that actually chose not to. And one of the environmental problems that we've got is that open access is not mandated at UNISA. It's merely in the policy you are encouraged to publish open access. It is an old policy. So that's maybe also something that we should have a look at, how far we can pressure or push people to say, publish open access. In my presentations, I really make an effort to show them the advantages about funder requirements, the citation counts that are higher. I try to do it positively to, at least when it comes to a mandate, that I would understand it, hopefully. Questions that I've received, very first presentation, very first question I got, where's nature? And I thought, I mean, that's what I heard. They want nature. They always want the South African open access publishers. I got questions about the accreditation journals. They wanted in the beginning to know about the gold. It's only the hybrid in the beginning. There were lots of questions about the corresponding author. I assume they are not the corresponding author and they want the APC. Or the payment. I got the reason why they don't want to use the @UNISA email addresses. They say it's easier communication. I assume it's Gmail on their cell phone or whatever. I got queries about the copyright because in the old, of course, you sign it off. They don't really believe that they are not going to own the copyright or that they are now the copyright owners. And of course, a lot of queries about doctoral students, also retiring academics that still publish for the university and lost the UNISA email addresses. So there's actually a lot of minor detail queries that we still get. Now, what is good? I must be honest, it's not all bad. Thank you for the SANDIC website, the title lists and the information. While my LibGuide was out of date, I used that. I attended the ESAC Community of Practice workshops and I found them extremely insightful. Sometimes I feel it's maybe we are still behind, but if you don't know where you want to go, you will never get there. I appreciate the training by the publishers, the recordings and the dedicated staff that I've got. Also, their SANDIC pages that I've started where you can actually refer somebody to what is included and what not. I still have a lot of excitement from academics when I do the presentation. They are very appreciative that the library is doing it and they have real support. And I must say in the end that I'm on the one hand glad it came from the library. It definitely raised the status of the library at the moment within the university. And it makes the library look like we are progressive and bringing something that's really to the outcomes of research output. So on that side, irrespective of where it ends up in the end, this exercise, I think we're going to look back and say we're glad it's coming from the library. Thank you.
Questions, Director? Any online questions? Closer. I'm sure they can all see me saying questions. And any online questions? We have a question here.
Thank you, Dorette. My name is Bongi. I'm coming from the University of Zululand. We always have this problem of the primary email addresses not being that of the university. They always use their Gmail account. And I just want to find out, how do you manage that? Do they eventually change to use the university one as the primary email address?
No, we don't manage. I must be honest, we don't manage that. I was in the beginning, I wrote emails and said, right under your institutional, very highfalutin. And then I got a talk to from an academic who told me that in the DHET policy, it only states that you have to state your institutional affiliation, and they are doing it. Nowhere does it state that your institutional affiliation is your your email address. So I've now dropped that, but it's my work is difficult. Because now I have to trace the person. Is he really affiliated with UNISA? And I found a lot of academics do write under the email addresses, UNISA email addresses, but a lot of them write under Yahoo and Gmail. And since the university doesn't have a mandate or a policy to say you have to write under that email address, I can't enforce it. So I use the staff register, I use my emails, the person librarians. We also have sometimes look in our patron database of the library just to see who's the person, because then you'll find he actually does have a UNISA email address, because as soon as he's appointed and gets a salary, he gets an email address. But if they are it, and we have all these research institutes where people are contracted and then they write while they're there, it's one of the employment conditions. And they often write under their Gmail addresses. But I did have the other day a person who wrote under the name of the original institution. And as far as I know, UNISA's requirement was you must write under the department to which you are associated. And because you can't always see the article, the published article, and then he sent me a copy and it is then listed. So I had to approve it. He's one of those at these research institutes. But that is the time that goes into this, which we didn't know about in 2021. It's in L11 agreements, you know, then you find that you have to, every second article you have to check. So, so at the moment, I'm just plowing through it as it comes in and email and ask.
Bongi.
I think it's going to be more of a comment in relation to the email. I've seen some of the publishers, actually, they want you to populate your institution's email address, like Emerald. They won't approve or they won't continue with the process unless the person uses the institution's email address. So I think it's something that can be communicated with other publishers as well. Thanks.
I must say in my presentation, I encourage them to use UNISA email addresses because I try to explain that their articles then goes into these research output systems like Cyval or Insights or whatever, and then you don't get picked up as belonging to the university. And so to have your institutional affiliation clear and correct is, and the ORCID ID, you know, so, but you can only go so much. Some lecturers just don't want to listen. No, I think it's a traveling ones. They want to then they go say to me, if I leave, I can continue to communicate about this article. So.
Any more for Dorette? Thanks. Thank you very much, Dorette. Gillian, the last one, and Gillian and I had a very animated discussion earlier on just such an issue about email addresses. I had a funny incident happen to me. I used to be at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and I got an email from somebody I had known from the university. They're working up in Zululand at a hospital somewhere, and they were just trying their luck. They said, "Oh, thank you that we can now publish open access. Please send us all the details." And I said to them, kindly contact your library and don't forget to use your institutional email address, because I knew jolly well these people weren't paid by the university. Gillian, Gillian is Senior Librarian Acquisitions at the University of Cape Town. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to talk a bit about the reflections from a UCT's perspective. We too also have all the 11 agreements, and it's been an experience. Initially, I was a bit apprehensive. I was like, so used to the one side of it, you just approve your journals and then you just carry on for the year. But with the read and publish part of it, coming into play, it was like, wow, am I going to cope? But so far, I must admit that it has been seamless for us. We've found that our authors are very happy as well. They're so thrilled to have this opportunity because for so many of them, money doesn't come so easily, to be able to publish. And with having these TNA agreements, they are just happy that we've afforded them this opportunity. But at the same time, there's some of them that are also still apprehensive because maybe it hasn't been marketed enough, or besides not being marketed enough, there's that feeling of, okay, I'll go through the process, but are you sure? And I have, in my own capacity, had to speak to some of the authors 2 or 3 occasions and say to them, yes, you will not be charged for this APC. It's covered by the current agreement that we have. And they're happy, once you give them that, but there's still that hesitancy. And also, we've also noticed that some don't want to publish open access. And it could be, like you said, with the Springer approval process, where it shows that you're owing until you press the open access, and then it cancels out the fee. So maybe that could be one of the reasons why some are still hesitant, or maybe it could be other reasons. But we also still interested to say, we've got this facility available for you. Why not take on, publishing for free, open access? And with the approval workflow, we don't work as hard as Bongi. We just have the publisher set it up on their system. We've gone for the training, showing us the author workflow, what needs to be done, and then we come in to approve. So at the moment, it's myself, and then it's my line manager, Caroline, who backs me up when I can't. So this week, she's going to be doing the approvals that are coming in. Yeah, so we get the email confirmation to say that this article is waiting to be approved. Are you going to approve? Do you agree? And then we'll go into the system and we'll check. We do have the Gmail and the Yahoo emails coming through, but I also use the Ringo to confirm sometimes if it's obvious, if you can see it. If you can't see it, you can see the UCT or UCT email address, but you still can't find them on our regular system, like our emails or whitelist. Then I will send them an email and say, we've received this request. Please, can you explain how you are affiliated to our institution currently? And we have had some recent incidents where, because the author has submitted the institution's email, in this example, the author did his PhD a couple of years ago. And because he put the institution's email address down, they told him, hey, your institution has APCs. Don't you want to publish? And so I couldn't find his details on my regular investigative searching system. Then I reached out to him and he's like, no, I'm not affiliated at all. So you got to be careful and you got to do your investigations, in that way. We also had another student, or I think he was a student at that stage, 5 years ago. And I got an approval request and I tried to locate this person. He's like, oh no, I was there 5 years ago and I'm wanting to highlight my research that I did with the institution. So definitely a no, not part of the agreement. So those are some of the experiences that we had, interesting things that have come up. Also, the corresponding author is also an issue. because we've had a situation where the corresponding author was from another institution, but the co-author was from our institution. But the requirement is corresponding author must be affiliated with the institution that you're submitting from. And we've had costs. Sometimes, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience where you got your APC, it's covered, and then you've got an extra cost incurred, a few $100s that are lurking there. And we found that in this instance, it was because the person had exceeded the page count. And there was also colored pictures, that was added in that incurred extra costs. So we couldn't take that on because we have that agreement and we can't go beyond that in terms of paying extra. So those are just some of the experiences that we've had. We've also had queries about hybrid, gold open access, and gold open access in hybrid. I had a situation where someone was wanting to submit in a gold access within a hybrid, which should have given the free waiver, but initially that waiver wasn't coming, you were getting the discount. So with a bit of liaising with the publisher, we finally got to an agreement and there was a full waiver at the end of it. So those are just some of the experiences that we've had in terms of our workflow. I've also noticed that we are liaising more with our research office, because at first we were looking at each other, like whose responsibility is it? Is it yours? Is it ours? Who's going to bring the finance to the table? But after speaking to one of my connections in the research office, I realized that they have a role. They have their list of open access journals that they pull from and that the authors can submit to. And our TNA agreements at this point are separate. But we do realize that going forward, we are going to have to do a lot more liaising and connecting. So what I've noticed with the TA agreements, it's pulling us to a whole lot of departments that we wouldn't normally speak to. So we getting to get together a little more, understand each other's role a little more. And I think it's going to go to another level as well in terms of breaking down silos, you know. And yeah, so that's just some of the experiences that we've had at UCT so far. There's a whole lot more, but time constraints don't allow. I just thought I would just share that with you guys. And maybe you've had the same experience and you've got your own stories to tell as well. Thank you.